On the cutting edge of anomaly research, you are about to experience The Evidence with your host, 3D pioneer and image analyst with Mars X3D, E.W. Gannett.
Well, hi there. Step on into the lodge here. Oh yeah, this is your buddy Dave over at Mars X3D, and got some neat stuff happening in this episode. First of all, if you haven't been to one of our live hangs, they happen every Tuesday night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We have a lot of fun. We discuss a wide range of topics, and by golly, I'm eventually going to learn how to do the live streaming without complete crash and burn. It gets a little bit better every week, but sometimes I wonder. And some of you may be aware of our new feature that posts on Wednesdays called Marvin Moments. And of course, we all know Marvin here, don't we? But they're a little lighter side, up close and personal interview with some of the movers and shakers in our global anomalist community. Last week, it was a real pleasure to talk with Neil Spence, a real image wizard. And this coming week, we're going to be talking with Neville Thompson, the man himself, the one responsible for so many of the wonderful gigapans and gigamacros that we all depend upon. And here's your $10 word for the week: ventifact. Ventifact, all that means is something that has been well weathered by sand, wind, water, whatever the dynamics are at the location. And here's a picture of one. Isn't that interesting? Now, I would be proud to call this a creation of mine, something I sculpted. I mean, look at the beautiful lines and the curves, the shaping, beautiful stuff. But it's all done by natural forces. And of course, we have to keep an eye out for things on Mars or elsewhere that may just be ventifacts and not aren't. How much English do you speak, Dave? Not much. That aren't actually artifacts, but are things created by nature. So that's something to bear in mind. But moving forward, what I believe to be unassailable proof of intelligent agency on Mars is included in this week's selection. So let's get right to it. Take a look. We're gonna spend a little time today in Neville Thompson's G-pan of 1144. There's a lot to see in this one, so you anomalists out there will want to click on the link below and have a look for yourselves. We'll start off with this context view of one I kind of arbitrarily called mining equipment. Many of you will see right away what grabbed my attention on this one, but I'm going to flash them anyway to make it a bit easier. Let's take the one in front first. You might notice right off the box-like part on the right, the many non-fractal forms and angles, and in particular, that weird circular device on top. Almost looks like a ducted fan, doesn't it? Coming off the box stand is that curved section that looks like mangled and broken machinery. And then look at that steam shovel in the background on the right. That scoop with fingers is what got me, besides all the other parts that give it that manufactured look. I'm not saying that these two items are mining equipment. That's just the first thing that came to mind. I will say, however, that if these are both rocks, they're some of the dangest rocks I've ever seen. But there's even more to be seen in this one. Take a look at this context view and see how vast this rocky plain is, how it stretches out in all directions. That'll give you some idea of the size of the anomaly inside the target area. If that's a structure in the lower part of the picture, then it certainly has beautiful semicircular door to it, doesn't it? As a matter of fact, it looks like that maybe door leads into a maybe hallway, like the tunnel part of an igloo's entrance. And what about that strange structure going up the hill? Let me highlight it for you. Is that a machine, a dwelling, or is it just another weird rock formation? That kind of reminds me of a well-known anomaly called the Climber. Take a look. That's some pretty strange stuff, isn't it? Anyway, maybe you can see a bit of resemblance here, maybe not. But let's move in a bit on our so-called entranceway. That all looks pretty purposeful to me, but maybe I'm letting my bias show. Regardless of any bias I might have, someone please explain to me how a perfectly semicircular door like the letter D lying on its back, with a uniform bulge in the middle, equidistant from the bottom and sides of the tunnel, and then that long tunnel heading straight back into the hillside. Please explain how something like that occurs naturally. Then please find some examples of the same thing here on Earth and email them to me. Then I will retract my overzealous statements and grovel before you in a way that you will, at the very least, find compelling and evocative. And now it's time for pipes. Our buddy Laszlo Shabalix seems to be really good at finding pipes, and as long as we're spending time in 1144, see if you can even begin to see what he found in this context view. It's really well hidden in the shadow of that rock inside the green target. As we zoom in, I'm going to knock back the shadows so it's even more visible. Ta-da! If you take the time to click on the link, you'll see how this pipe is nearly invisible, but we can always count on Laszlo's sharp eyes to pick things out other people miss. Here's another one of his pipes we shared last year. This one is from 1601, a G-Pan Nev made from the blurry 34mm mast cam. Definitely low res, but even so, you can see it pretty good inside the target box. That's a pipe we're looking at, isn't it? It even has a collar to it, like a regular water main or a sewer pipe. There's all kinds of stuff lying around it that are clearly not rocks. But for now, let's get a closer look at the pipe. That looks like a public works project to me. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a little flushed looking at this thing. Corny jokes aside, there are more than just a few pipes lying around on Mars. Let's go back to 1144 and have a look. Again, you should be able to get an idea of this vast area being photographed. Inside the green target, you can see a long object just begging for a closer look. You can see right away that this seems to be a pipe-like structure. But what's going on with the left end? It's highly reflective, like polished metal, and it has a definite blue tint to it. Is it just reflecting the sky, or is the metal itself bluish? and there seems to be something just inside, in the center. I'm going to do some irresponsible speculation for a moment here and say that this looks like some kind of focusing mechanism, like a radar dish, perhaps. Was this a particle beam weapon, or maybe even a weapon using acoustic energy? And why would I imagine it to be a weapon? Take a look at this next one, and maybe you'll understand. Even in the context view, you can see what looks like pipes inside the target box. It's when you get a bit closer that things get interesting. Both of these items appear to be made from a yellow metal, perhaps brass? I was trying to be conservative, calling these pipes, but in truth, they look more like pirate-type, old-style black powder cannons. As anyone with a basic knowledge of metals knows, brass would be entirely inappropriate for use in a cannon, as it is far too brittle to handle the forces involved. So, what are they? It doesn't make sense to utilize brass for pipes, either. At least those that handle liquids of any kind. Are they decorative? An embellishment for a building, or perhaps even a war memorial? Isn't it just like Mars, to give us more questions than answers, at least at this point? We're gonna take the Wayback Machine to Curiosity Sol 77 and a GMAC by Neville Thompson. Laszlo Shabalix is a dedicated weirdo like myself, and he often brings some very interesting finds to my attention. This one is hiding behind a rock right up there in the center of the image. Now that, my friends, simply shouldn't be there. You all know that I call them as I see them, and there's just no way I can logically explain a mineral process that creates perfectly circular disks. It stands to reason that we'd be finding a whole lot more of these things if it was part of the geological processes on Mars. So I'm left with the conclusion that this is artificial. It's tempting to fudge a bit and say that hole is dead center, but the fact is, it's not. The fact that there are little knobs decorating the perimeter leads me to think that perhaps this is a kind of home accent, or maybe even an article of personal adornment, like a medallion. Whatever it is, in my opinion, this is powerful proof of intelligent agency pointing to a one-time civilization on Mars. Well, that's it for now, and by now, you've probably become aware of our Patreon and PayPal links to keep this channel ad-free. My sincere gratitude goes out to our patrons and contributors for their generous help. Thank you. Meanwhile, if you saw something you liked, please consider giving this video a thumbs up. It helps me know to continue this work. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button and the bell. Stop by Tuesday night for our live hang, and until then, this is your buddy Dave over at Mars X3D. Be well.